The Humiliation of Men in Cinema. This is a story that someone put together from filmindustrywatch.org. The War on Men. How cinema became a weapon in the cultural backlash against men and masculinity. We have notes for this story. Yep. It's a very long piece. We're probably going to revisit this, but this is an amazing piece about the emasculation of male characters in, name it, sitcoms, movies, TV, name a thing. Name a classic hero. Indiana Jones.
James Bond.
Alan, you have notes for this story. Give it to me.
In recent years, Hollywood has embraced a striking narrative shift. Men are increasingly portrayed as predators, cowards, or failures, while women are cast as victims, avengers, or moral centers. This reflects the cultural aftershocks of the hashtag #MeToo movement, with cinema now embedding its lessons directly into storytelling. One of the clearest examples comes from Promising Young Woman from 2020, in which Carey Mulligan's Cassie exposes the predatory instincts of men who brand themselves as nice guys. The film suggests that every man is guilty, if not of rape, then of complicity or willful ignorance. Similar themes appear in Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always in 2020, where teenager Autumn's journey reveals a society filled with predatory men, culminating in her admission of rape. The pattern extends to award-winning films. Anatomy of a Fall. The husband Samuel is portrayed as emotionally broken and volatile, while Sandra, though his wife, commands a moral high ground. Greta Gerwig's Barbie gleefully lampoons fragile male egos through Ken's exaggerated embrace of patriarchy. Poor Things portrays men as controlling paternalists and libertine exploiters. Even Palme d'Or winners like Triangle of Sadness and Honora draw humor and critique from emasculating its male characters. A cultural critic, Robert Thompson, observes that this is no accident. Hollywood is becoming its own loudest voice and helping to call out what bad thing this is. Directors, including Emerald Fennell and Kitty Green, have openly said their work is designed to unsettle male viewers and hold a mirror to systemic misogyny. Upwards of 90 to 90% of men worldwide have been never accused of harassment at all, while men themselves disproportionately suffer from suicide, homicide, homelessness, and workplace deaths. Issues rarely depicted on screen, and the prevailing message, however, is that male toxicity is universal and male innocence is non-existent. The concept of toxic masculinity, once confirmed to academic and activist circles, has now become mainstream orthodoxy in film and media, framing traits such as stoicism, competitiveness, and strengths as inherently harmful. This has sparked backlash from uproar over Gillette's 2019 toxic masculinity ad to politicians warning of masculinity crisis. Ultimately, cinema has become a battleground in the gender war, often using its narratives as a hammer rather than a mirror. While calling out abuse is essential, it warns against collapsing the differences between abusers and men as a whole. The challenge ahead is to not polarize further by painting one gender as oppressor and the other as victim, but to redefine relationships between genders in a way that values both men and women.
Look, it's always a shock to me when I see a male character in a movie that's treated fairly or allowed to be heroic or allowed to be virtuous or allowed to do good and then receive praise for that good. It's surprising when you see like, oh wow, that's like a positive male character in a movie that is a father. We saw it in Avatar, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's can be a balance of heroic male characters, heroic female characters. Yeah. But when you diminish the male characters and supplant them at the to elevate the female characters, it's almost constant. It's so predictable. And you know what it is? Ultimately boring. we're going to talk about this more on Versus, but what do you think, Alan?
Yeah. Well, I guess when I first saw it just a moment ago, this article, men have always been kind of treated as the adults and the saps. But I think after reading the article, you realize it's just really ramped up, especially since Me Too and since the election of a certain president. It's, we talk about the racial divide. What we're also experiencing is the gender divide. And that has opened itself to basically men being abusers and oppressors while women being victims and the basically now the protagonists of all stories. And then I'll throw the trans issue in there as well. You mentioned probably the only movie that comes to mind that does treat men and women in a fairly balanced way, and that's Avatar. Jake Sully is the protector of his family. Jake Sully is the leader of his family. Although his wife is able to do battle while pregnant, Jake Sully is still the leader. He is the one in charge of that family. And that's, it's weird that no one's calling James Cameron out for that. But, I can't think of another movie that really sets the traditional male, mother, father, male, female role in a movie.